All right. Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Today is Thursday, September 29th. I hope everyone's having a great day. All right. We're going to jump right into this and let's get going. All right. Let me share my screen here because we are off and running. Here we go. Okay. Time mastery. I'm going to show the slideshow. So let's get started. Nope, nope, nope. Don't look at that. All right, here we go. Sorry about that. Time Mastery Series, tracking data using Google Sheets. Welcome, everyone. If you're live, please type in the chat that you are seeing this live. Love to see who shows up. And if you're seeing this on the replay, type in replay because I want to know who's checking this out. Again, I really appreciate it. I value your time. So I hope that you can get a couple gems out of this at least. And we'll move from there. Just to let you know, Dennis Riley here, Goals to Results. I'm a business strategist. Help small business owners achieve the results they want in their business. If you've seen a lot of these things, you know this part is the same. Okay, one quick thing, management versus mastery. When we talk about, a lot of people talk about time management, to control something to manage something that is to control it. I like time mastery because to master something, you need to own it. So I want to make sure we master our time. That is my goal. Today, we are going to talk about data. Data is very, very interesting here. Okay, we got what I usually set up is we talk about time mastery at the bottom. That's really the basis. You call it a boat. All right. When you put your business boat in the water, it could be choppy at times and the wind and it takes you off course. Your business is your boat. All right. That solid business that solid foundation at the bottom is all about time mastery. Control your time. Just slightly above it, that's so much important in the base of the boat is your goals and your data. Data is what I'm going to talk about today. Okay, let me go back there. Now, your data is the DNA of your business. Your data will tell you strengths of your business, and unfortunately, it'll tell you the weaknesses, but that's okay because if you look at it early enough, you can take those weaknesses and do something about it and get them back to the strengths. All right. Key about tracking data is not about just finding all the data points. It's about finding the patterns. Once you find a pattern, you can, it's easily, once you find a pattern, it's so easy then to see, okay, what is going on in this pattern. Lots of data points and all that stuff can get really overwhelming really quickly. Okay, there's so much data at your disposal. You don't want to make sure, you want to make sure that you know how to look at the data. Okay, that's the key thing, knowing how to look at it. All right, so now, where do you think the data is coming from? Oh my goodness, you've seen it. This is just a sampling of some of these data, but they really go into this financial stuff, like QuickBooks or whatever you use, okay? There's CRMs, lead systems, all this stuff that you get your leads from, and how you do with it and how you reach out and contacts and all that. You get your social media platforms. If you're on them, great. If you're not on them, hey, you know what? Some of them you're on, some of them you're not. Make sure you can find out how you're doing in those. Okay. Also, any marketing. Trust me, marketing has data associated. Sales has data associated. Make sure you have that data at you. Also, customer and client data. Not only what you're doing with that client, how things are going. Are you giving the value that you said you were going to give during that client journey, but also during the client journey, what kind of things you're reaching out, like email campaigns, things like that. And also maybe some follow-up on giving testimonials or referrals. All that has data in it. And you want to be in front of your clients as much as possible, even after the journey. And then there's also your systems in place. You got to make sure any systems you have in a business, it tracks data. It makes no sense to have a system in place if you cannot track that data. Because again, the data will have patterns and that's what you have. So I just sample these bottom ones are just generic things that, what are you doing? maybe customer data and stuff like that. So that shows you the picture there. Now, again, it's all about patterns. How do you find the patterns? Well, in all of these data sources, and no matter where you look, hopefully these data sources give you data and you can get reports from this data, right? That's what you want to find out. You want to get reports from these data, okay? Now, it's not just one source, okay? There's multiple sources, and maybe you have to look at data from one source, data from another source, data from another source, and put them together, okay? Now, what you do is when you get the reports, you compare similar data, but different time frames. Because then guess what happens? Now you get to see how you find patterns is this, is that all the data is the same except for one variable. And you throw in that one variable, and that one variable will determine if the pattern stays. And if the pattern doesn't stay, presto, you now have something. Okay, you now have something that you can put your teeth on. All right, you also come at it from different angles too. There's so many ways to find the patterns, and it really is a skill set. If you don't have that skill set, please find someone with it to help you with your business, because it really is a key skill set to have. You just don't look at the data. All right. And most people, all they do is look at the data, and they see jumbled stuff, and they really don't get the meat out of it, what that data is all about. So now what if you cannot find the patterns? Well, you think outside the box. Now, one tool I love to use is Google Sheets. All right. Because you can collect the data in so many ways, and you can do so many stuff with it, and you can share it. That's why I like, people might like Excel or some other one, but Google Sheets, you can share the results. So once you start doing this, you share it with your team. So let me show you an example. And this one's probably familiar to you guys because you're watching this right now. What are you watching? Okay. You're watching a LinkedIn Live. I started doing LinkedIn Lives in August. I do it every single Thursday. It's just a consistent thing that I do. And I love giving give out information to people, these business owners. I want to make sure I help as many business owners as possible. Anyways, so how did I set up these lives? Well, I invited my LinkedIn connections to the events. Okay, that's easy, step one. And then I was able to see who signed up, because when it comes in your inbox, it says, are you interested in attending? Yes or no. And if you hit attend, boom. All right. I know that the person who did the event knows who's attending. Okay. That's fantastic. But guess what? LinkedIn kind of falls a little short on the stats generating part. Okay. With LinkedIn, it'll show you who signed up, but that is it. Okay. Once I go live with an event, it'll show me how many people saw it. It will show me how long it's been watched, but that's it. Okay. I have no clue who watched it. I have no clue what their thoughts were on it or anything like that. That's all it is. So something's missing. I'm like, there's a little bit of good nuggets here, but how do I get those nuggets? Well, it's time to dig. And boy, do I love to dig, because usually when you dig, you find amazing stuff. Or at least if you can't even find something, you realize, okay, this is not the area I go down. So it is showtime, because I am going to show you the behind the scenes stuff. Hope it doesn't go too much over here. Listen, when I'm going through this, if you have any questions, put them in the chat. I will get back to them after this, I promise. And I'll check this periodically. So as you're going through something, if you have a comment or you're stuck on something, can you explain this? I will explain it. Okay, so we are going now to, I'm going to show you this LinkedIn. Okay, now, what is this? Well, it is my first event. On August 18th, I did a thing called Roadmap to Results, Increase Your Productivity, doing this one tip daily. And I was able to see who attend. Well, how do I know? Well, let me click on this, manage attendees. And there it shows 92 people signed up. Well, they include you as a speaker. So 91 people signed up. All right, great. Now what? Well, now it's a labor of love. What I want to do is I'm going to take all of this information and I'm going to manually transfer it into a Google Sheet. That's how I did it. In fact, I had my staff help me. Right. So now what happens is that's the step one. Step one is I got my first name, last name. I got my connection level, position of the company. Remember, it's all here. Okay, look at that. It's all here. First name, last name, position, and your company name. I got it all there. So you know what? I put it there. Great. Step one. Okay. Whew. That was interesting. So now I have, it says 92 lines because the first line's there. So 91 people. I didn't put myself, of course. And I, put them in alphabetical or whatever I want to do. Great. That's step one. Now, step two is I'm going to take this list and I'm going to add new fields because you know what? It's great that I have first name, last name, and I have connections here, but these positions could be all over the place. The company's all over. I'm going to add two categories, one called gender and one called category. So what I do is I'm going to just add, insert column to the left, I'm going to call it gender. All right, now what I'm doing here is I click on here. Again, if you, Google Sheets is great. It takes a little getting used to, especially if you're an Excel person, but really is mind-blowing what it can do. I just love it. All right, so I'm going to do some data validation here, okay? And I'm going to choose a list of items. And I'm going to go male, female. All right, yeah, and I want to show a drop-down list. So I hit this. And look at this. I got male and female, okay? Now, before, this is a little trick. Don't fill in the first one just yet because I want to copy some stuff. So I'm going to take this and drag it down. Now, see how I only have like 92? Well, this is, right now I can do 92, but in the future, you want to add it. So, hey, so you don't have to do every single time. So boom, I just add it down to 300, whatever. Okay, so now I got my gender. Now, you know what? I'm going to now insert a column to the right, and I'm going to call it category. Now this seems to be a little, okay, so now there's different categories of what industry is coming to see my LinkedIn Lives. And so again, I'll do the same thing. I'll click on here and I'll go to data validations. I'll do a list of items and I'll just start writing things down here. Now I'm going to show you what it looks like afterwards, but I'm just going to do industry 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You get the drift. Put major one here, hit save. Okay, and again, do the same thing with the copying, just bring it down and all that. But I'm going to show you what it looks like complete. Okay, so click over here and now look, I got here the gender and now construction is part of my categories. Now here's an interesting thing. You might not know all the categories at the beginning. That's fine. Let me go back to this, by the way. Okay. So I click on category and say like this, say if I, right here, this one's I'm gonna copy this. Whoops. Come down a little bit here. Just do this for a second. Now I know this one's bookkeeper. Now say if bookkeeper wasn't in here. The good news is I can just type bookkeeper. All right. And it gets part of that. Now it has a little thing that says, hey, that's not part of the list. That's okay. As you fill this in, you can go back and say, you know what, bookkeeper showed up a lot. So now what I'll do is I'll modify the list to add bookkeeper. Best way to do that. Little tip there. All right, so now you got category. Perfect. That's in there. All right, so now I got, I'm starting to get a little bit more, it's starting to get a little deeper here. There's some meat on this data, but there's so much more. Let's click on this. So now you're thinking, okay, so I did this for the first one. Now, if I'm doing this every week, which I am, I'm coming here and I want to add more columns. I'm thinking, okay, you know what? I want to now compare different ones. So again, let's go back over here and insert. And what I did is, first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little insert a row here because we're going to do some totals here. But right now, let's do this. I'm going to the first one was on 8/18/22, okay? And now it's like, okay, you could do 1, 0, whatever. But you know what? I'm going to again, now, when you're finding patterns, you want the same categories. That's why I'm doing category, gender, whatever. I want the same thing. So what I'll do here is I said, okay, I'm going to click on data validation, and this time it's going to be a checkbox. And that's it. Click on this. Okay, so now I have a checkbox. So now if someone attended, so I know that everyone's attending this event because these are all the lists. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take that and then, oops, I'm going to take that. And then notice how it's already checked because they're all the same, right? So I go all the way down to here. And we'll just go right here. And presto, they're all checked because they all came. This started on the 18th. This was the whole list from the 18th. Now, then I'm going to add another one. Okay, insert column to the left. It's now going to be 825. Okay, so now on 825, look what happened when I added to left. It's already got the box there. Fantastic. Now, I want to do some sum here. So maybe I'm going to do sum. I'm going to click on this, and it's going to be this all the way down. It doesn't matter where I stop because watch what I do. See where it says 122? I'm just going to make this 999. Okay, it's going to go to infinity, whatever. Okay, so now, all right, so the sum of it, oh, I'm sorry, what I do? I think it's count, by the way. It's not sum, it's count. All right. All right, so now, again, I got to show you that one later, but same thing over here. We're going to count it. I think it's sum. It's sum. All right, and we're going to put it over here. Now, this is what happens when the final view, okay? It was sum, okay, I just didn't do it properly. Anyways, so here is the list, okay? Look what I did, okay? I added these two. Now, since this started, I got 262 names on this list. Okay, great, great, great. Now, and then what I did here is I added another one that says, hey, look, add all these up over here, and then we'll put that. So now I see not only which ones they attend, but how many they attended. So now it's starting to see how you're starting to see now more and more data. All right, and I can sort it different ways. If I can come over here, I can, what I'd like to do is, click on this box, this thing right here, go all the way down till there is no more. Okay, if I want to do a quick glance here and say, okay, I go here and say sort range, then advanced sorting options. I could say data header, but I don't because I also have the total of the sums, so we won't even go with that. But where's that count? That count, I believe, is column H. Okay, so column H, we're going to sort by count. We're going to do it descending. And then I'm going to add, this is the first name, and this is the last name, sort. Okay, now look what happens. Okay, now I know the number of people who showed up for 7 of them, 6 all the way down. All right, this is great. This is getting really good. Now I got more data. Now I see patterns. See, I'm seeing patterns now from this data that didn't have patterns in the first place, but I organized it differently to do that. Okay, now we're going to add pivot tables. What are pivot tables? Pivot tables are different ways that you can sort data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use all of this, okay? Doesn't matter, right here, I'm going to do all of it. And I'm going to insert, where is it? Pivot table right here, all right? And we're going to make a new sheet out of this, and we're going to create it right here. Now watch what happens, okay? Hey, wait, it just looks like that. Whoa. Okay, now you get to see, okay, in this ranking, I have all these rows. So now if I want to see the number of categories, okay, and I want to do, okay, and I want to add, where is it? It's going to be the count. Okay, so see what happens now is the counts. This is some, okay, I'll need both of them. It's this one right here. Okay, now look at that. So it's like, oh, wow, this is great. Look at that, there's 261 rows, and look at all of them. Now, if I want to sort them by this. Look, I can now sort by not the category, but the count. And instead of it being ascending, I'm going to do it descending. And now look at this. Look what I got here. All right. So now I know that the 261 people who showed up, it's really heavy in the construction industry, or what I did is I categorized anything that had to do with a house, roofing, construction, all that, electrician, plumber, all that had to do. So I put them in that. It's the trades, but I put it under there. So, and what's interesting is, so now I get to see, it's like, all right, well, what other things can I do? You can just keep adding ones. And let me show you the final stats here. Okay, look at this. By category, these are all 260 of them, 61 or whatever the case may be. And then what happens over here is the number of times registered. I can now do, look at, I even made percentages. So out of the 100%, 56% of them only signed up for one time. But what's interesting is 22% did at least 2 and 3 and stuff like that. So this is a lot of stuff. Same with male, female stuff. Okay, I can obviously it's on a slide to the male side of things. So, I can tailor my future. And this is great because the future ones I want to reach out to, if I know that construction people really are dominating this area, I'm going to now do a lot of time mastery stuff that really dives into more of their issues. All right. And so this data is huge to me. I absolutely love this data. So I get to see, all right, this, the number of people right here was 148. Here's what that first, this is when they only show up once, this is what it looks like. But you go all the way down to 7 times, and there's 2 construction people, 2 designers. All right. And then obviously that's what happens is you're going to get more and more as you go through. But this data is, to me, it's invaluable. I just got patterns and I got valuable DNA from my business. And this particular thing of doing the LinkedIn Lives, okay? All of this I would have never known based on this data alone, okay? Based on this data alone, I would have never known all that. But by taking it a step further and really digging in deeper to the data, and notice how I organized the data in a different way. And then I was able to, when I go back to the final view here, okay, they're all organized based on who showed up. And I was able to put a couple more categories in. And then, I can see if I want to do by position, who are they showing up? Are they more presidents or the titles, whatever? How many people in each company are doing? There's so much data I can do here just by this source. And this source was really not much. It was the basic. I mean, yeah, fantastic that I got to see, the managing attendings. This is fantastic. And yeah, I understand that there's data that I had to, manually do and stuff like that. I understand that. Hey, I wish things could be by a drop of a hat here. But by putting in a little bit of legwork, by trying to find patterns, and that's what my goal was. My goal was to try to find patterns. And so what I did is I said, I looked at that data and I looked at all of it and I said, wait a minute. There's got to be an easier way of doing this. There's got to be a way for me to look at this. And sure enough, there was. And then, getting stats like this is just uncanny. This is exactly, I was so happy with this. And so I wanted to share this with you and to really show you, what thinking outside the box can do. How do you take a look at certain things? That's, to me, I think that's incredible that you could take raw data, and that's what it was. It was raw data, and find patterns. And now that pattern data tells a huge story and something that now I can take and I can work with. Okay, it really is. And then once I started to do that, it's so much more leverage now that I could do with my not only my LinkedIn Lives, but my reach out campaign to some of these people, because it's like, hey, look, what else can I help you with? You obviously you're interested in seeing these things, but what else do you want? Tell me so I can show you more. So that's a little sample here. Now, what's the next steps? Now, again, I have this time mastery series that all these LinkedIn Lives, I split them into different ones, and I made I call it a course, but it's really not a course. It's just an area where these videos are broken up into like bite size, like 5, 6, 7 minute ones. So you can look at any time, go back and look at it. And it's free, by the way. So just log in, grab it right here. Here's I'll put this link also. I'll put all the links in here, and now I'll let you know there. But also, hey, any more tips, strategies, and systems tips you want, sign up for my newsletter, goalsresults.com. And you know what? Sign up. I promise you I don't spam you every day or anything like that. I try to do it once a week just to give you tips, because I want you guys to, I've been a business owner for 28 years, and I want anyone who is a business owner to stay a business owner. And whatever I can do to help, that's what I want to do. So these are just tips that along the way, something like I just showed you here, that'd be a perfect tip that I can show you. Also, if you're looking at this and going, wow, this thing is great, but I have no clue how to do it. I don't have time. That's another thing. I don't have time to do this. Fine. Just because you don't have time doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. Okay. Get someone to help you. Get someone who knows how this stuff is. Get someone who this is second nature to. I admit it. I am a data geek. I can 100% help you. I can take your data and put it in patterns. And then you can you can dig into your data. I'll dig into the data for you, and you get to see the patterns. And then trust me, you'll be able to make more decisions and more knowledgeable decisions about your business than you ever thought before, because now you have that secret sauce. That secret sauce is not the data, but the patterns that the data is telling you. Okay. Also, if you have any questions or need help, email me, Dennis@goals2results. Again, I want to help you out, especially with this data stuff. I know I can do it for you, and I would love to help you out. All right. I like to keep it within 30 minutes, and it's 12:27. So guess what? I kept it within 30. I hope you have a great day. Remember, your data is your business DNA. Make sure you know it, not a little bit, very well. Hope you have a great day.